10 years ago, on the 3rd of June, 2015, on this very ground I'm standing on, at least 150 people lost their lives. This is ground zero of that infamous twin disaster that happened on that day. Flooding is one disaster, but to have fire in the mix of that was absolutely unbelievable. It's only the aftermath that people really realized how much damage and how much loss we had really suffered as a people. I'm here with the assemblyman who was on the ground that day. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So talk to us.
Yeah.
Where were you when you first heard that something's happening? Something's happening at Circle.
Okay. I will call it twin disaster. Twin disaster.
Twin disaster.
Yeah. I believe on that day we had a mayor's conference. Mayor's conference at the banquet hall.
Okay.
The state
banquet hall.
State banquet
this
hall.
Was Honorable Alfred Oko Van der Poel had invited all the mayors of Accra,
not only Accra
but
Africa, at the western part of Africa.
Okay.
For a mayor's conference. We were there when the rain started. Then after the program was closed around 3:34.
Okay.
4. And I left the place. So I was coming home, and I got home. In fact, normal, it was raining. But then I knew a rain that when it rains around, let's say 2 hours, I have to be standby.
Yeah.
Because there will be flood. It has drizzling, heavy, like it will rain heavily and to stop, and drizzle, and rain heavily to stop. And so I was thinking maybe something could happen. Then truly, I was told that there's a flood, the water is gushing. Then I normally ask of the state of the odor, whether it's full or not, because I have some people around that area. So they call and say, oh, it's normal, it's full. The small one too is full. We have the one that is close to the football park. That one
is this a Sahara
Park? Yeah. So that is what I used to determine whether we will have flood or not. So during that is the call I'm making. In fact, so we were there, and then it was night, around 7:38. Then we had a call that, Honorable, there's fire somewhere. I went upstairs to my house and I raised my head and I realized, hey, I see the whole of the Baka is burning.
Wow.
Channelone filling station inside one. You are moving fuel. Oh, yeah, well, filling station and Kasaka Patwine.
Nti nsuo no to no den na wo ye wo ho
but me me koto fuel wo ho na nsuo no
koto fuel
me Patwine.
okay adwuma be na wo yenti awo be nia fuel
me driver ni na me press sprinter bus nti me koto fuel wo ho no na me sisa oil ade chi a nti na me to oil no so nti na nsuo no to no respond me meeting so rain sare na nka on to oil wo e ma me ti ya adwesi e be twen nsuo no ti ananka na ye ko ti ehu se nsuo no de do ane na edoso wo inside one na isu na yiri kakra ba deda ye nan ase o filling station nti de ehu ya ne se tanka na e wo form no isu no etimi afla tanka no ene diesel ene deti wo ye na o masesa wo inside one ama age isu na ni nyina nti ya adwi sa fide isu na ye de se ka no kwantimi nkokwa na ye nipa no be pie nanka ye ko nti sa tam no so no main road nankasa na ye lolo kwan no ho na yiri a ye isu ankasa yiri ho nti ye se ye kroso ne yakwa aye ntimi che ho ne yeti se ejabo na ejato filling station le jana ehyi wo ho mo sa ne se ntimi de na mi dwane tanka na ba ku si filling station ma na fuel ewo ti enu ya se tanka no a blast I the other side.
I think I was actually in the office in Abilene Bay and just about to head home and I was just hearing the story sort of coming up. You know, it rained heavily that day. So. And I used to work a lot late. So that's what happened. And I was taken aback because it involved a fuel station.
Yes.
The news was evolving, the fire, the mentioned oil.
Yeah.
I was a salesman. I used to, pass those areas, feed some of the outlets around there. So I could really connect with the location. I was in the petroleum industry, leading policy engagements, and I hear another fuel station. Naturally, that should really grab your attention, which it did.
I was in the office, that's at Adabraka City FM then. We had finished with the eyewitness and then the rains had set in, so we advised ourselves to just keep calm and then let the rains go before we leave. What happened was that, so like I'm saying, I was in the office. And then the first, I think on that day, there were like 2 explosions. The thing that caught my mind. And then we were already reporting on the floods. There was that situation around. So people were calling in and then the Sky was anchoring.
I work at Hannah's Chef Restaurant. When the water was approaching our workplace, we decided to run to save our lives. We saw that the fire was burning on the water surface. We were burning and drowning at the same time. My face is burnt.
I was in a car to Santa Maria, so we alighted at Circle and I went to the filling station for shelter. I stood there for about 30 minutes. All I saw was the water and fuel coming towards us. I saw a spark. So when I saw that, I moved because I felt I was drowning in the water. Before I realized, I was at the Adabraka police station. From there, I walked to Kolebu Teaching Hospital. There was no vehicle available, and the water had carried my money away.
Then I heard the first blast. It was just like within a twinkle of an eye, fire traveling from some place. Then the blast came.
I was running. I was chasing the fire. Where the fire is coming from? What is happening? So instead of me using this side, the place was flooded. So I said, no, let me go this way. So I came all the way, and this was the only place I could stop.
Really?
Yes.
All here was flooded.
Flooded.
Okay.
So that was the only place I could stop. Then I managed to walk in here. But all of a sudden, a gentleman came, whom I knew very well.
Yeah.
Then he came and said he is bent.
I knew cars were parked there. And so when I got there, one of the driver's mates, or what you call, no, it was a bookman, one of the bookmen there. Yes. So then he said, cars no, esi na nipa wom. And he was like,
So they had loaded the vehicles, and they were going to maybe buy fuel before they set off on their journey.
Some were going to buy fuel, some because of the
rain,
enormity of the rain and then the flood.
They were waiting.
They were waiting, so they just parked there. So long after, I think even now when you go there, some of the vehicles, they've not been cleared there as well. I don't know.
This is Farah Avenue.
Yes.
Okay, going to Glass Towers.
Yes.
Good. That was, you said water was coming down that road.
Okay, so no, water was not coming from Glass Towers, but Asylum Down.
Yes, from
Asylum Down was also flooded.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So the water gushing through because the door is full.
Yes.
So they have to find their way. So the water was coming all the way from this side.
Okay.
So
it
can't move.
Yeah.
The water that is coming from all the way. You know this. You see this route?
Yes. Yes.
You see there is a hilly area.
Yes.
Here. So all water
will be coming down here.
Will be coming down here.
Okay.
So this is a. You see the.
Yes, the drain.
This is a very big drain. You see that?
Yes.
It's about, they call it U something drain.
Okay.
It's very big. It's not a small drain that you see. Because it's under.
Yes, under the road.
Yeah. You see, it's a very big one. It was full. All this place was full with water.
Wow.
So this person had managed to escape from the pharmacy area and entered the water. But it was obvious she couldn't swim, or she doesn't know how to swim. So she would wake up and then but she had bent, literally bent. And whilst I was walking towards to get a better idea or a better picture of what was happening, comes out of the water bent, and the mom was standing, I think just 10 meters or so behind me. The mom was crying. And the first thing, I don't even know how to do. See the mom being bent, encountered me and said, help me. I turned like,
can't do anything. For the benefit of the viewers, the pharmacy that got burned is right next door to ownership.
Next door to ownership, yes.
But ownership was quite lucky.
No, they got the ownership, working was
on the other side.
And the ownership had its own share of the cake.
Okay.
It got burnt, but they were able to
recover
some of it. But the most one that got burnt was this one,
the pharmacy
and the walk-in, and the nurse and the shell.
Okay.
You see? The nurse and then the golf filling station. Yes.
There's a particular restaurant there that I used to eat.
Honest Chef.
So before Honest Chef, that was where a lot of people were trapped. Because,
pharmacy.
Yes, a lot of them moved in there. They were within that building, and then some were standing in front of it because of how it's been built and all that. So, and the place was familiar for me. It was familiar. I could see myself even there and all that. And so when I got there, one of the things that struck me is seeing the fire engulf them. And when it engulfed them, some of them tried coming out. Now they get into the flooded road, and the force of the water is you can't imagine it. And the water was carrying debris, heavy stones and slabs that it had
carried.
Yeah.
Of course, the construction hadn't been completed at Circle.
No.
There will be a lot of.
At that time, they had done. They had not opened the
overpass.
The top one. But it was fell down. But the water was carrying. In fact, for some of the streets, it had just taken the quota like that. And so, if you are in the water and you might be walking, it hits you and the force it knocks you down.
Inti, what say? What is said? Ejebo. What is say jaba? But ejano.
Me ba chwa mi hu ye na me wokan satana e abontin. Inti ejabo but insuo no mi hu ja no wo insuo nani na ye blue color.
Okay.
E blue say ba satana e shida ye it the sense cars na wo filling station no eja ni to mu wie no e na to roofing ship in chance dan na wo filling station no e to mu wie no e na start here say e depa because of na fuel no wo insulin no satana na e blue color. Okay.
Okay.
Because since that time I best saw cars no any the supermarket one no. It me now for ni bi eduane ko share supermarket wo and e bi so
filling station, supermarket.
Filling station, supermarket. But now grasses. Yeah. So more no there. Now how no so shin to move journey. So bia no journey afa baby fufro. But maybe when me fire na tanker no. In the AC o. The move yan say tanker no a blast there. E pija me. E friend so ni koto e kwan na chi wo other side here you say.
Ah twen yo nti o say so no e blast there no e filling station ni e blast there e to ba
Equanachi.
Vienna City side.
Vienna City side.
Our industry practices do not justify that kind of occurrence. That's if safety, quality, regulation is properly implemented. It's not supposed to happen, you know. So I was guessing, was there a truck that just during the flood? I mean, was this? But it didn't make sense. It can't be a truck. It has to be fuel, significant fuel in the basement that had been displaced. That was my hypothesis.
The first responders, which was fire service, which tried to come and do something. Their vehicle could not stand the force of water. The flood waters. Wow. Yes, their vehicle could not stand it. So then it was clear that look, that water tanker or what they brought there cannot help. It was clear. So now they have to move into rescue mode. And all of these, I then started reporting on air. But what hit me most was when I got there, and then I realized that a lot of people were trapped. It was very, how do I even, it could break you down emotionally.
The famous Odonna, and the Odo drainage that goes straight into the sea. We are here at Circle, and this is the site of, maybe I can say it's also linked to the ground zero of the twin disaster, because in many ways the drainage from the sea was heading from the main road, so from the Circle Road, was heading straight down here and carried a lot of bodies along as it came through here. Now, see who Alex and Nima, yet as I say, Otto Jim, and I know what she say. Oh, yes, Nima. As a fine boy, I just say, come, you whooshy. Now, also say, a time when it here now hospital, who named the Nipo de Okoye, but you explain what is going on here.
The Pacho Hospital, we know we are the cause. There's a CM, the what of the But who damages for her?
Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
It's a difference, no. It's who she and Casa.
Who she and my new in an imitating. But me what picture I met me a yatro. The picture didn't make Mrs. Sia.
When empty also share.
Eh, Namina I am a domo. And I'm a general Sia. But meanwhile, no, Crofobwa, the Bredia Hunter day, if you. Ben Ejina was saying, Yamiadum, but still have you in a program a day.
In the morning, when President Mahamadan had come around for some inspection and all that, when we were going around, and I hit on something, thinking it was spoon bola or something. I said, dead.
Wow.
Like my leg hits it, and then I was like clearing the thing. The president was standing there. So I just couldn't talk.
As on the next road, that is the Vanderpoint Street.
Yes.
That was when I started crying.
You actually cried.
I cried. I'm telling you, I started crying.
Why? Why?
Hey, I've never seen anything like that before.
Tell us what you saw.
Dead bodies. Wow. Lying, scattered all over. Do you remember this film, Apocalypto?
Yes. Yeah.
See how
Yeah.
they're dead bodies
Just
there?
everywhere, yeah.
That is something I saw. Dead body all over.
Where?
See, I don't think that picture can leave my memory. That pictures cannot leave my memory.
Wow. Wow.
I did not imagine the enormity of the situation on ground. I went with Reverend Mauli Chikata. We passed the other end, that is where the Ochihine's palace is.
Yes.
And you can't imagine. You see that place, that high ground.
Yes.
You move a little bit, that whole place was flooded to more than knee level.
At the Ochihine's palace, at that height.
The down,
and that's much higher than
when you move a little away from him. So we had to, we held our hands together, me and Mauli, and then you see where the traffic light is.
Yes.
That place was completely flooded. In fact, the first responders, which was fire service, which tried to come and do something, their vehicle could not stand the force of water.
So I'm still here with Alex, and I've come to this road here. This road just sits directly behind, it's parallel to the main Kwame Nkrumah Circle road that goes to Adabraka. All right, so this road here, I'm here because the Odo is about 100 meters from here. It's not far. I can actually see some caterpillars doing some dredging across the waters there. You can just see the tip of the caterpillar over there. They're just the top part of it there, doing some dredging work on there. We're here because the Circle disaster, for a lot of people, it's about what happened on the main road. However, the majority of people, it seems, lost their lives from the back end. So we call it a twin disaster because the fire killed people. But before the fire killed people, and whilst the fire was killing people, the flood waters was also drowning some people. Alex is going to walk us through this part here and what he knows about what happened. Alex, inti adina wa echiri hanon so no. It means edan baako bedi akọ pharmacy na o sa dan no na edan na hye. Edan no kra po sisi no bi enim bi. Na haye den si wo ha.
Bedi akọ na kan de emo no mo fi ho no. Nsuo no eyiri ba mo to mo ko hye dan no top. Ama agya ne to mo no. Omo ye ba je so mo huresi. Omo ehuresi ya ne de na ha na yiri nti omo enya kwa bi anso boyebo ebi wuye nti efia de ohwe have to now no ha de dodo na omo tia na mas for to efia omo nte abi because of nsuo to a da so yiri ba ha se de wo ka odo no asemti no yiri ha de ebe ha nyina wa ohwe na no de yakura to na ne ya ohwe se de ha ye na na enya hanko ebi tuma ko animu kakra so a me kire because ye wo hospital one no ebi ni mo omo ni amanfo na ma omo hurihuri si ha se bang na chi bibia yakọ ya
okay
omo enso ewuye eho ni yiri ya kwopem mere ko a utoma
twenyo se nkofo huriye omo huri fi he ekosi bank na chi omo free filling station ana
eno ni filling station ni share wo
you
eni filling station ni share
okay
wo
the bank no car park ewo bank na chi wo mo ni filling station eche wo baako
okay by one year short ntino omu huru ye omu si mu no na omu nimu se omu de ojasho or any brain e de huru ye nti omu huru ye omu si no answer omu be huru se sa emu ewa nti ada guy ba ko no ni nua akora huru si wo kwa no up to now kwa ma hu ni fun mi ankasa mi mate ankasa nso ehuru si ha ye hu ni fun mi mate ade ni mi nam no ohuru si ha say up to now on the dead body no na busu afokura
wow mate
me mate
wo ka wo twi wo mate
spinter bus no ni mate
wo hu mate
o risi wo no echi wo bank ahya ye hu ni fun kura e be peme de due nsuo no de ne koye
wow
ti ha de ha nyina yiri ya e tra wo no ba inside e yiri ya ha nyina e yiri ya that day because of odo no so ho no aye manity no e ba ha no say.
We had a natural disaster, but the fire was not a natural disaster. Even the water itself was not a natural disaster, in my opinion. It was just irresponsible, reckless management by officers of the state.
You look at the situation and you look at things that are happening now. It's quite obvious that whatever strategies that were put in place then to ensure that we don't get into such situations again has not been followed through. So I don't think we've done enough to see to it that such a thing would not happen again. You know, in the midst of all those troubles, even location of location of gas stations, gas filling stations and everything was considered and all. But you go to places, people are just doing their own thing like that.
They are forgetting that something happened here. And we should
right
here. And we should have, it was not their fault that things should happen.
No, of course.
But then, let's remember those who were affected. But I mean, look at this.
So the lack of a memorial is not proper.
It's not proper.
I think there should be economic compensation for these people. I leave that to our lawyers who have evaluated that for the people.
They initially
what they
10,000 cedis.
No, please.
Each person.
That's not compensation.
Okay.
Don't make a mistake. You compensate people for the wrongs you do them. That is for the institutions of state and the corporate goal. Their feelings is what they must compensate them. So you negotiate with people. Now, when you make donations as a country, as a government, trying to intervene and making it's okay, but not just that. Which officers were responsible? Initiate legal proceedings.
Who are building in places that they've been asked not to build and all that. That particular flooding situation, aside the circle place, we went to, other places were affected, like Domi, and we went there and you could see the extent of devastation. Promises were made, including construction of what they call storm drains and all. Action, we moved into action, but all of a sudden it died down. So if you ask me, I don't think we've put enough measures in place to ensure that we don't experience such a thing.
10 years down the road, my thoughts are with those who lost their lives tragically. There are over 150 people that lost their lives tragically in this twin disaster of a fire and a flood. But more importantly, my thoughts are with those who survived the carnage and yet have never been the same since. As we look forward, the question we ask ourselves is, did we learn anything from the past? George Santayana once put it eloquently: those who don't remember the mistakes of history are doomed to repeat them in the future.